try to go to the gym, and but most importantly, I help Mary take care of the goats and the chickens and our two dogs. I have to do that, so she lets me play. So I'm gonna, what I want to do, this will be a real no fluff presentation. It should take me about 45 minutes. If you got questions, put them in the chat box. If I don't get to them, I'll get to them, or bump in there if I think I'm going to answer it a little later. And what I want you to do is to walk away and have the confidence to be able to go after probate leads, and the real meat is showing you how you could get them from your the courts, because they're public records. So you should have the confidence to be able to go out and find probate leads. I don't think probate transactions, truthfully, are that much more complicated than a normal residential real estate transaction than we do. I've actually had agents refer me probate listings because they were worried, and I gladly took the referral and paid them a referral fee, but it's not that complicated. And I always, I like doing probates. It's always it's a niche that I found. Back in 2008, I was doing a lot of the REOs, and I got used to, that kind of got me hooked on having some type of institutional business coming in. And so that kind of got me to go after probates. And I always show probate leads are great. I mean, the probate clients are great. You usually don't have to talk to them because they're dead. Now, that's kind of a joke, but they're in any market, there's always going to be probate leads. So there's always going to be probate leads. So, and like I said, at the end of this, I'll offer a separate 15 minutes. If you got follow-up questions, I'll do that one-on-one. And the reason I'm offering that is I like to get some feedback on the presentation. I'm purposely not charging for the presentation. I know this is great material, but I'm still kind of fine-tuning the presentation. So if we do have a follow-up call, would love to get your feedback on the presentation. So what is probate? Probate is the official proving of a will. It's the legal process after someone dies. Now, I always hate when people give this disclosure. Well, I'm not an attorney, and I'm not an attorney. And there may be people that are on the call that have some legal background, but that is that's a good enough definition. And I want you to have, I just let Deborah in. I want you to have enough working knowledge so that as you talk to clients and you have to talk to probate attorneys, you'll have enough credibility, and it won't take that much. So in the probate process, they have to deal with assets. The debts have to be paid off. And then finally, you got to distribute assets. And in our case, what we're looking for is probate situations where they have real property, because generally, if there's a house or a piece of land, generally at some point after someone passes away, it is going to have to be sold. Now, I'm not giving you lessons on how to avoid probates, but pretty much even if someone has a will, they'll still have to go through probate. The only things that really avoid probates is depending if the property, how you title the property, like between a husband and wife with rights to survivorship, or if the property is put into a trust or a living trust. Those situations, either how we title properties or trust, can avoid this probate process. And after doing a lot of these probate sales, we do want to have our estate set up so we don't have to have our assets go through probate. So like I said, things, so not, sometimes the reason I say this, sometimes you'll see people pass away and it's not probate because probably there was a trust. So some more definitions. So the executor or the personal representative. So in a will, sometimes there is a named executor. If there's not an executor, or they used to say executrix, there could be someone that could be appointed to be the personal representative. If there is no will, usually one of the family members that is filing the petition for probate, I use that word a lot, that has an attorney file their petition of probate. they're applying to be the personal representative. So think of the executor and the personal representative. Those names are synonymous. Sometimes executors, PRs have full authority. Sometimes they have limited authority. Sometimes there's a bond required. So if there's a potential for any type of contentious nature to the probate, the judge may only grant limited authority, or he may even require a bond being required again. And when you see that, if you see limited authority, or if you see a bond being required, it may be a little more contentious of a situation. Usually there is always a probate, 90% of the time, there's always a probate attorney that's involved. But people here in California, for example, they could file the documents themselves, and that's what we call a pro per. I like to think of a pro per as kind of like a FSBO. They're trying to do the stuff themselves. And in some cases, that's an even better situation for us as agents, because they likely will need even more help in this process and be turning to an agent that knows the process. Court confirmation. Sometimes probate sales require court confirmation, sometimes they don't. If you see us, and that's something where an attorney is going to help you with, and you'll know once the petition for probate has been filed. If court confirmation is required, that's usually a situation where there's some battling going on, or there's maybe some other heirs that are contesting the probate, or they're mad because they're not the personal representative. So, and oh, by the way, the probate attorney works for the personal representative and the executor. The probate attorney doesn't work for the estate. The probate attorney works for that person who's the executor, who's the personal representative. A probate referee, you'll hear this term. The probate referee is essentially an appraiser, and sometimes the courts will want the property appraised, and they have their list of appraisers, and they'll set a price. And in that case, like if there is court confirmation and the probate referee has appraised the property, the judge is going to require that the property sell, for example, for at least 90% of the appraised value. And that appraised value is coming from that probate referee who is an appraiser. And sometimes that can help or hurt, if it gets appraised too high, for example. So, going through some notes. So how are we going to find probate leads? So there's several sources. The best, else it's kind of safe for last, is the courthouses, but there are services that, where you could pay and they'll give you monthly leads, for $100, $200. I've tried a couple of the sources. I never was really happy with it. It just wasn't, I've done a better job of doing it myself. As you develop relationships with lawyers and attorneys, especially as you find probate cases, you'll get introduced to probate attorneys. It's kind of a long lead time type of lead, but probate attorneys could ultimately be a great source. Maybe not on one particular case, because I'll say this again, it's usually hard to get, you call an attorney, usually they don't answer the phone. So, but they can be a long-term lead source. Accountants, CPAs that work in trusts. There's also fiduciaries. So there's sometimes counties will have a fiduciary, and sometimes there's a lot of private fiduciaries. So a fiduciary, the definition of that is a person who is charged with a high degree of care to take care of someone's assets. So when I've dealt with fiduciaries, maybe someone has gotten very sick, they haven't died yet, but they're very sick. There's a fiduciary that will come in. Maybe there's not family members that can help to take care of their affairs, but they're going to, help manage their money and help manage their home and, make sure bills are paid. And then sometimes when the person passes away, that fiduciary is going to be charged with selling the property. I think maybe one of the famous cases recently was with Britney Spears had one or actually two fiduciaries. To me, the best source is going to be right in the courthouse and getting, because probate are public records. So I'm just looking, is there any quick question? Is there anybody have any questions before I go on? If not, I'm going to keep going. Okay, so talking about, again, I talked about how to find the probate leads. And then once we go into court documents, these are the 3 key documents: the petition for probate, letters or letters testimonial, and notice of proposed action. So those are you should know the essence of these 3 documents, or at least the existence. The petition of probate is the key one. Letters is also called letters testimonial, is the second document, and then notice of proposed action. And I'm going to go through these documents, especially the petition for probate, towards the end, and that is going to be where the meat is here. So just take a break. Working with attorneys. So like I said, I've found that they can be difficult to get on the phone. So maybe you'll have a probate case, that's just the lay of the land. It can be difficult to get on the phone. And once you get that lead, they may have their person. So you may have a lead on a probate, and that attorney who's working that case for that client may want to refer it to their agent. So typically, I don't start the conversation with the attorney until I have a listing agreement in place. Now, I'm going to note who that attorney is. I'm going to put that attorney is going to go into my database. I'm going to be prospecting that attorney for future business. But if I got one particular lead, I'm not going to talk. I don't want to talk to that attorney unless I think I really need to. But until I have a listing contract in place. And then the other key milestones is once the home is under contract, and then finally, and that's to give them a heads up, because the attorney must file what we call the MPA, which is the notice of proposed action. And the notice of proposed action is they file a public notice. Usually it's like 10 to 15 days before close of escrow. And that's to make sure if there's any other potential errors, they'll give them a chance to come out of the woodwork. So, that is definitely a conversation to have. You got to alert them, because they're busy. They're working multiple cases, and they may acknowledge, yep, Frank, thanks for letting me know. Oh, you got it under contract. Hey, thanks. And then definitely when I know it's before it's going to close, I want to give that attorney at least a 20-day heads up so he can get that MPA filed, and he'll be very happy that I've connected with him on that point. So. So working with the family, and work just like with any lead source we have in real estate and any potential lead source, it really helps to understand personality types. What we call using, I still fall back to the DIS formula, the DIS personality type. That could be a conversation of a future training point, but you definitely want to understand that. And what I found is that person that's the executor, the PR wants the help. They're glad to have the help. And this will make more sense. Once their attorney files the petition of probate for the personal representative or for the executor, at that point, believe me, someone wants that property sold. So going back to personality types, you got someone that's what I'm going to call a high D personality. They're a decision maker. They may not want a lot of extra information, and they may not, and this is the point I'm going to get to, as opposed to say someone that's a very S personality, which is maybe someone that maybe family is more important to them. So even though, say, that executor, that personal representative, he's the decision maker, he can make all the decisions with the attorney, but he still may want to consult the other potential heirs. So knowing who the other heirs are, acknowledge them to the executor. And what I always tell my clients is, look, I'm going to give you as much information as you need to help you make a decision, or to help you talk to your family members. So having an understanding of personality types helps. Getting back to, but again, once that petition of probate has been filed, I just, somebody posted, does the executor find their own attorney? Yes. So yes, the executor or the personal representative is going to hire the attorney, and that attorney works for the executor, works for the personal representative. That's a great question. So, but I've never felt, because when I've trained other agents, they go, God, do you feel like you're an ambulance chaser? And I'm like, absolutely not, because at this point, and we'll talk a little bit about time, I'll show you a timeline later, when that estate, when one of the family members has filed the petition for probate, they've hired an attorney to help them, and they get this filed, and there's real property there, they need to get it settled. So usually this could be, maybe if they're anticipating the death, this may happen pretty quick after the death. Sometimes this could take 1 to 2 years after a death of a family member before this actually gets filed. So. Let's see. Okay, so now we're talking about getting leads direct from the county, which is the best source of the leads. Okay, so every county in California has some type of probate court that may be a part of the county court, or it may be a separate court, or like a family court. So Placer County is there's just one county court that does everything. Sacramento County, for example, you have the county courthouses in Sacramento, and then over on Power End Road, they have the family court that handles the probate cases. So you're going to need to find for your county, you have to do a little bit of homework, find out where that probate court is. And sometimes these cases, they're public record, and they can be online, or you may have to access them in person, or maybe a combination of both. If they're online, that's great. You could be sitting at home and researching leads. The method, what I'm going to show you, you may quick to find out if you're a busy agent, or maybe something you're going to want to train an assistant to do. Or you may have somebody may have to go in person. The trouble with going in person takes more time, but usually the harder it is to get the lead, the better a lead is. So sometimes, the counties I found, like Placer, where you got to go in person, there's less competition for those leads, and there will be competition for the leads. Other agents are doing this, and also you also will get competition from investors. So there's a lot of investors that are looking for properties to fix and flip, and probates are a great product for them, and they're definitely going to try to buy it before it gets listed. So you're going to have to understand your county systems. So usually the county is going to, if they're posted online, they at least will post the court case and the dates. So now I'll show you an example of when I talk about you have to learn their county system. So that'll be a little homework for you. And you'll need at least one case to get started. and that's okay. So you're gonna need one case to get started, but again, that's not gonna be uh, too difficult. But once you have one case to start, you'll be able to start to correlate that case, the number, which will give you an idea of the numbering system for that county, and then the case numbers, but also the dates. So I'll give you an idea of maybe how far back you want to go in the past to start doing your research. Okay. So like I said, you need one case to start. So I'm going to flip over I'm going to flip over to some PDF files here. So let me show, before I'm going to show you what I could talk a little bit of a timeline. And I'm hoping, can you still see my screen? Have you seen the probate type timeline?
Yes.
Thanks, Marco. I appreciate that. So actually, and this is a timeline I used to send out to clients too, but like I said, that the petition for probate is usually filed maybe 1 to 2 months after someone passes away. Like I said, it could be pretty quick after someone passed away if the family had maybe a heads up that they were going to have to face this. But sometimes it takes, I've had to take 1 to 2 years after someone passes away. You know, maybe there's other people living in the home. They have to clear a lot of personal possessions out of the property. There's going to be some family infighting going on. So it gets kicked off with the petition for probate being filed, and that's what you want to key in on. And we're going to look at that document. And then once they file the petition of probate, it may take 2 to 3 months before the court has a case. So, and you can't, the executor's not gonna be able to sell that property until that petition for probate's been filed. And especially now because of guys, we're coming out of COVID, you know, it seems like a couple of the counties that I work with, Placer Sac, have been backed up. After the petition after they have the court hearing, then you're going to be looking for what I call the letters testimonial, or it's called letters of administration. That may take another 2 months if no one's contesting this. So, yeah. So, okay, now let me show you what I was talking about, the timeline. Okay, so this is an actual screenshot that I got from the Sacramento court. And like I said, you're gonna need one case to start. And you may find this by just looking at another MLS listing. So, but you get the one case, and then once you start looking at like I said, you want to know the system. So they're going to have some type of case numbering system, and then the filing date, and then you're going to want to access these cases, and the key is looking for that petition for probate. Okay, and because that's going to be early on in the probate case. You know, you may realize that you find the case, there's real property there, but you're probably maybe, you know, it's too late. It's already well into the probate. So there's just something that you'll have to get the feel for there. Okay. So let's talk about the petition for probate. Okay, I definitely want to make sure everybody sees this. And again, Marco, can you see this?
Yeah, you might want to expand the screen though. It's a little small.
Let's see if I go to view. Thanks.
You got it.
Does that help?
Yeah, that's good.
So it's a 3-page document. So this is the meat. Okay. This is the beef, or remember that old commercial, where's the beef? So this is a form at the bottom. It says petition for probate, DE 111. Okay, so if I get into a probate record, I'm looking for probate cases, because there could be other cases in there that are just on conservatorship. The court may be doing trust cases, but this is, I need to see this petition for probate. And the first thing I do when I get this form, either online or in person, I go right to the second page of this form. And on the second page, under paragraph 3D, I'm looking for net value of real property. Okay, so if there's a 0 there, there may be, that means there's no property to sell. And I just, boom, I toss that case out. If there's any number there, and it may not, and I don't care what the number is, that means there's a property to sell. Okay, and that's just a number that the attorney and the client put in there. So it does not correspond at all to the value of the real property. So again, I find the petition for this document here. I go right to the second page. I want to see if there's real value, if there's real property. Yes, there's real property. Now I'm going to start pulling some information for myself off this. Okay. So again, kind of back to correlation. I'm going to record the case number and when it was filed. Okay. So say right now, this may still be a good lead. This was filed back in June, but I may be a little nervous that they may be already into, they may have already hired an attorney. So I wouldn't ignore this lead, but realize I'm going to start to think maybe I'm already, this may be a lead that's going to start going stale on me. First part of the document, this is the attorney. So I always get I pull out the attorney's name. It always has his phone number, always has his email, which is great. Again, they're hard to get a hold, but now I got another attorney to put into my database because he's usually an attorney that's working probates. If it's remember I use the term pro per. So if this was a pro per, like a for sale by owner of probates, then guess what? Right in here is all my contact information for my lead. Because then the pro per is going to have their name, their attorney, their address, their email, so all the contact information. Okay. This is going to tell me who the estate is. So this is the person that the decedent. They use this form for different reasons, but for this demonstration, it's going to give you the information. So because I'm looking for this form. So it's almost the same name, like Tobias Jerome, Tobias Devon. So I'm going to guess he's likely, because I've done this before, that he's the son. Okay, but this is the person. He's applying to be the administrator or the personal representative. So now I'm going to start just again collecting some more information. He's asking for full authority, which is good. There may not be a bond required. That's good. This is where the person passed away at. So this is likely the property that they have to sell. It may not be, but it's likely this is going to be your property. Okay. Again, here on this page, I already verified, like this was the first page I went to. All heirs are adults. That's good. They're asking that they are entitled to letter. So they're asking permission to sell the property. Petitioner's related. Yes, he is the son. So that helps me out because Again, this is the person now. You know what, you may have to do some more digging because I know he's the personal representative. He's my lead source. I don't know where he lives yet, so I may have to use some other online sources, you know, white pages search. There actually may be some other documents in the same file that may have Tobias's email and phone number in there. So again, these are all public records, so you may get lucky and not have to do further research, but in this case, hey, I know I got a good lead and I got a person to contact on this one. Same thing on this form here. Like, oh, okay. There's no spouse. That's good to know. There's the children, natural children. So here I'm looking, is there other potential heirs in here? He was not survived by somebody that was adopted. And go here. Okay, this is the page I want to get to. And this one now, okay, now I got an address for Tobias. So again, he's my lead. I got an address. So again, using a lot of online sources, there's you know, I may be able to find a email for him, a phone number, or at least I have a place to send a listing package to. So, and I'm not going to go into it on, you know, in this presentation, but you know, I'm going to try to get a hold of them, you know, multiple ways, either by, you know, letter, phone, or text, or email. Sometimes you can't get a hold of Tobias, but it may be easier to actually get a hold of the sister. And, you know, she may be a kind of a good lead because she may refer you back to Tobias. So. Let's see, somebody has, yeah, Mark's makes a point is, you know, they could be out of the area. So they're going to be filing the petition for probate in the county where the person passed away. Sometimes my best lead sources are when I find that I have an executor or a personal representative that's out of the area or even out of state, because they need even more help. You know, they're not on the ground. And I've sold several probate homes where I did it all over the phone via email with a personal representative who I never met face to face. Especially now with virtual companies, it's very easy. We can certainly do that. So this again, can't emphasize it. This document here is my key document. Okay, I'll come back to this one. The letters. You may find this document. I don't have one filled out here, but this is letters. They'll either call it letters testimony or letters of administration. So this is when this has been filed. So someone files that petition for probate. Now, when they have the letters, now they have permission to to sell the property. If you find this form in the file, again, that's an older, maybe too old of a lead. You know, I'll show what I'm talking about again. And so this is the permission. So this is the second form I'm looking for, and something that you should be familiar with too. So this is what we call the notice of proposed action. So this is something that's filed by the attorney. It has to be done 10-15 days prior to close of escrow. So if you find this form in there, probably definitely too late. But again, it's a form you need to be familiar with. So I'm going to come back to petition for probate. So form. So again, I look for the form called petition for probate. The key information I'm going to pull off this is I'm going to be pulling off attorney's information or the pro per information. I'm going to pull off the case number and the date. So, you know, a perfect lead to me is when I'm going into the court records and I find, you know, something that's just been recently filed, like within the last week or two. This is going to give me the name of the person that passed away. This is the name of the personal representative or the executor. This is likely the address of the property, but it may not be. Again, this is going to verify on the second page that I have real property, because if we don't have real property, we don't have anything to sell as real estate agents. I come down, and then here I'm going to pull up the other errors, and sometimes there could be a lot of errors here, errors. So, but again, recording these may help me kind of move it along. So I'm going to kind of, let's see. So is there any more questions?
Greg, I have one. So once you have the case number and the date, then from there, what is your plan of action?
When you if I have the case number and the date, that's a great question. Is that I have to find. Let me just go back to the. I now have to find that record. So usually with a case number, you can find, that's where, so then I either gotta go back, I'm going back in that same county, and let me get back to the end of this presentation here. But I gotta find that case. So for example, in Placer County, I could get the case numbers online, but I got to go in person to get the actual court case. Does that help?
Yep, got it.
Yeah. So once you get a couple and you kind of know the case number, you're going to know you're going to know the numbering system for the county, and you're going to know the date it was filed. So it'll give you an idea of the flow. And then some counties may say they'll let you look at, so many records at a time in person. So if you say, I want, 50 cases between these dates, they'll do it, or by case number, they'll do it. So I just want to give you my contact information. Any other questions? Okay, so like I said, I think if you could get a hold of that petition for probate, you got a lead. Okay, and like I said, this is take a little work on how to get the process down. But again, if you can get that petition for probate, you have the lead. So if you want to get a hold of me in the future, here's my name, here's my phone number. That's my website. I'm not charging for this material right now, but if you want to schedule like a 15-minute call, we'll go, I could go into more detail if you got questions. And then at that time, if you could also give me some feedback, in the future of, on the presentation, should have been longer. Maybe I could have broken down into 2 or 3 presentations, or done more on scripting and how you deal with clients. So any other questions? I see something in the chat box. Yeah. So, how do you find, somebody asked me, how do you find phone numbers? Yeah, it is like a puzzle. So you got to start, putting it together, right? So you see different names of the heirs, you see where they lived. I use like white pages online. Sometimes I will pay if I think, I know it's a good address. I know it's a good name. I know I have the spelling right. This is where they live. I just need a phone number. I need an email. I may at that point, pay one of these different online sources to give me a lead. So to give me their actual phone number. So. And like I said, this is recorded. So if I'll post it and it'll be on a YouTube, and then I'll email everybody the link. If you don't get it, say in 7 days, pick on me and say, hey, Frank, can I get the lead? So, or not the lead, can I get the recording? Okay. So there was some other thing, Marco, thank you. Yep. Yeah, Marco posted true people search. Thank you for sharing, Marco. Yep. So there's a lot of different companies I've used over the years, and some seem to work better, and you get just used to using one. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign this off here, and see if anybody else has any questions on this. So, all right. All right, hey, everybody have a great weekend. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.